Shalom. First thing and foremost, giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai. Double honors to the man that I learned this truth from through the spirit and power of Yahweh Yahushai. Start with the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. I'm going to say Yahweh Yahushai brought the thumb to the hopefully elect. And basically, just back with another open forum, so to say, because, there's just so much to speak on. It's so much going on. It really is hard to keep up with everything that's going on, and to kind of it's kind of hard to sit down and get precepts together to do lessons on each and every single thing. Being that again, there's so much going on, so just like I said, just back with another open forum, man. I'm just going to speak on a few things, because the thing about it, and that's kind of what I'm gonna mainly focus on here in this video, going into America, and it's America is basically on the verge of a collapse. You see, and again, when you watch a prophecy, because the scripture says, "Blessed is he that readeth," all right, and that watch it, all right. When you see the things that's going on, and when you have the spiritual eye salve to see, you understand how basically, man, the way that the Lord is orchestrating all this, man, the way that the Lord is, he's moving because Yahweh Shemashah, he's the ultimate mastermind. He's the ultimate chess player. He's just moving the chess pieces. He's moving everything into place, man. You see, because a lot of these plagues that the scriptures talk about, a lot of it is already taking place in other parts of the world, right? Matter of fact, I was just watching a video going into Sri Lanka, because I've been reporting on other places like Afghanistan. I've been watching that situation very closely. Lebanon, Turkey, a lot of other places, man. Like I said, they're already going through these plagues, man. But you see, one thing is going to lead to another, and eventually, it's going to make its way here to America. Eventually, and you see, these people, man, they're in that spirit of slumber, man. They're asleep. And even more so because here it is. A lot of places they're opening. Well, they're easing up on restrictions. All right, so people are being basically rocked right back to sleep, man. So Jake has no idea what's getting ready to happen out here. Think just because you still your so-called money, because that fiat currency, all right, those paper greenbacks, all right. Jake thinks that just because they're still able to make their collect those greenbacks and go to the clubs or whatnot, that everything is all good. Like I said, America's on the verge of a collapse, and soon that money's not going to be worth anything. All right. So I saw this video here. It says Sri Lanka battles fuel shortage amid foreign exchange crisis. I'm gonna read it. It says the Sri Lankan government has run out of cash to buy fuel. Most of the pumps filling stations across the country are now running dry, and in fact, on Monday, 2 shipments of fuel arrived in Sri Lanka, but the island nation was unable to pay for it. So you see, because like I said, I was looking into it, man, and it's to the point over there that they basically they have to cut back on to save energy. All right, they basically, to save energy, they have to cut back on energy. And certain businesses, it's a lot, man. There was another video, but nevertheless, nevertheless, gonna move on. But yeah, man, they're cutting back because basically they run out of money. They can't afford you know a lot of things. You see, and I also saw something about how um, I think just last week, if I'm not mistaken, about how they just basically averted another um, government shutdown. You see, so I think they came up with some solution to basically fund the government again. I think until March, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that. But you see, America's on his way out of here. And again, the Lord is he's moving the chess pieces, man. He's setting this place up for the ultimate fail. You see, but so yeah, man. Just speaking on a few things. The first thing I'm going to speak on. The first thing I'm going to speak on first, going into this whole Ukraine crisis. All right, because again, a lot of people, they can care less about what's going on in these other places because it's not directly affecting them yet. But again, what you gotta understand is when you see these things going on these other countries in some way, shape, form, or fashion, whatever's going on over here is going to affect someone somewhere else. All right, eventually, later on down the road, it's going to affect somewhere. It's going to affect someone somewhere else. All right, and this whole Ukraine situation, man. You see, because from what I was looking into, the Ukraine, man, they're like the bread and butter of Europe, so to say. You know, and you see, and I even heard other people, because when you look into why Russia doesn't want the Ukraine to join the NATO, all right, if you're real, if you're honest with yourself, and like I said, I was, like even with these so-called these experts over here in the West, all right, when you look at Russia's reason on why they don't want the Ukraine to join the NATO, all right, I mean, like the brothers be bringing it down, man. Put it like this: if Russia wanted to come to Mexico and basically establish like basically set up nuclear weapons, America won't like that because that's basically like establishing that's basically setting up um, nuclear capable weapons in your backyard. You see, and that's essentially, like I said, why Russia doesn't want the Ukraine to join the NATO. All right, because that basically puts NATO and the EU in a position to where basically, they can annihilate Russia. And you see, Russia can't have that. It's a security concern for Russia. You see, so it makes sense why they wouldn't want Ukraine to join the NATO. It makes sense. But you see, man, um, but so now what's been going on, or what just took place, you have Russian, what they call peacekeeping troops. What they're saying is an invasion. All right, I'm gonna just put it how they say it. They say that they're basically saying this is a Russian invasion of the Ukraine because now Russia, they dispatched uh, those peacekeeping troops, and and I'm gonna try to get these names right, man. Matter of fact, let me try to, because I never get these names right. But I'm gonna try to get these names right, man. You see, because in these certain particular areas, You have Russian. You have um, these are people for the most part that believe, because you see the Ukraine, they basically believe in independence. All right, they don't want to be a part of Russia. They don't want to join with Russia. They're screaming independence. All right, but you do have some people over there in the Ukraine. They believe in being a part of Russia. You see, and these are those areas where you have a lot of Russian separatists, right? Um, but just try to get the names right, because I never get the names right. Let's see if I can pronounce these names. In the Donetsk and the Luhansk, and I'm sure I'm not 100% pronouncing it right, but the Donetsk and the Luhansk. All right, like I said, Russia, they dispatched peace, those peacekeeping troops over there, because over the past few days and whatnot, there's been a lot of shelling incidents between those Russian separatists and the Ukrainians and whatnot. All right, you see, and of course both sides are blaming one another, but they were saying that this is an excuse for Russia to actually quote unquote invade the Ukraine. All right, you see, but more so just those particular areas where you have a lot of those Russian separatists. They believe, like I said, they believe we actually have guys over there that believe in, they want to join with the Russians. They want to be a part of Russia. So with that being said, Russia, like I said, they went ahead and deployed those troops. All right, and like I said, they're considering this an invasion, and it's also being reported that Russia could go after the Kyiv, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is the capital of the Ukraine, if I'm not mistaken. But they're saying, supposedly, it's just rumors, that they're targeting they're targeting the Kyiv next. You see, so there's a narrative being put out there right now about how, like I said, with the whole shelling incidences that have been going back and forth, that Russia is you could see more of these incidences, because this could be a justification for Russia to actually come in and quote unquote invade and whatnot. Like I said, that's being rumored. All right, and supposedly they're going after the Kyiv next, but we'll see. But nevertheless, with all that being said, now because Russia has taken the steps to actually go into the Ukraine, the eastern parts, those areas, because Biden's administration, as well as I believe Europe and even London or Britain and a few other places, they were talking about, if Russia actually does this, well, they're going to hit Russia with sanctions, and that's turning out to be the case. Now, you see, that's turning out to be the case. All right, which for the most part, Russia, they don't care about those sanctions, man. That's not going to affect them. You see, Russia is a major supplier of a lot of those like gas and oil. Russia is a major supplier of those a lot of those resources to a lot of those, especially Europe. You see, and you see, because again, the thing that people over here, especially Jake, what they don't understand is, what they don't understand is, you see, once these things start getting intensified, this is why you already have it to where a lot of resources over here is going up. Gas is going up. All right, a lot of food prices, man. And me personally, I noticed this because me, for the most part, I pretty much get the same things. I live a very basic, simple life. I for the most part, I eat the same foods. I buy the same things. So typically, when I go to the store and buy these things, buy these items, typically it's the same price, but lately I've been noticing the prices have been going up, you know, because of that inflation, that inflation, man, which they've been saying over the past few months. They've been saying this last year, man, with this inflation thing, man, it's not going anywhere, you know. This inflation is, in fact, it's only going to get worse. A lot of experts have been saying about how it's only going to get worse with this inflation. Everyone, for the most part, a lot of these experts, they are in fear. All right, because as the Apostle Tahar often makes a statement about how, with inflation, if it goes unchecked, man, it's eventually going to lead to hyperinflation. You see, and that's where America is headed. Like I said, you look at other places like Zimbabwe, like I said, I've reported on certain places like Turkey is suffering they're basically in a hyper. They're basically in hyperinflation. A lot of these, like I said, a lot of these things are already happening in other places, and one thing is going to lead to another, and eventually, it's going to hit America the hardest. It's going to hit America the worst. All right. So a combination of all these things. Because another thing that they were talking about was a drought, and they were saying that this could be the worst drought, or this is one of the worst droughts in like 1,200 years, or something along those lines. You see, and like I said, the stage is already being set for famines. All right. You see, it's just a combination of things, which is all going to lead to basically all hell break loose out here. Because one thing about it, these Americans, man, they're comfortable. You see, and everything in the West, this Western society is based off convenience. Well, you see, the Lord is getting ready to take away that convenience, and soon you're not going to be able to just get up and just go to the store and, oh man, you see, this is why this place is going to be turned into a dog-eat-dog world here. Pretty soon it's going to be every man for himself, because going back to the whole sanctions, like I was saying, and I'm just saying this because with the sanctions, they're not even. I think they were talking about what's today. Today is Tuesday, February 2022. February 22. I think Biden is supposed to be doing some conference going into how he's going to sanction Russia today. Well, they already put sanctions. They didn't put sanctions on Russia as of yet. But what they did was, and I this is kind of stupid to me. My logic on this could be wrong, but as I said, being that Russia pretty much sent peacekeeping troops to those eastern parts of the Ukraine, I think I think Biden put sanctions on just those areas, which, like I said, to me, my logic could be wrong on it, but I don't think that makes sense because, if I'm not mistaken, that could devastate that, like that could affect the Ukraine, if I'm not mistaken. The fact that Biden put sanctions on those areas that are in the Ukraine, right? But they're backed by Russia, but nevertheless they're still a part of the Ukraine. All right, so those sanctions, like I said, they could affect the Ukraine. And you see, the Ukraine, man, they're kind of pissed off right now because Biden has been all talk and no action. You see, and the what's his name, Zelensky, the president basically of the Ukraine. They're basically calling America out because America, they've been saying all this time how they're gonna. America's been saying all this time how they're going to defend the Ukraine, right? Basically we got your back, blah blah blah, and like I said, America's been all talk and no action. So you see, they're kind of pissed off about that right now. But the prophecy states how basically all of America's allies, man, they're gonna turn their back on America, man, eventually. You see, because America's being found out that she can't be trusted, even with the Taiwan. With all the tension with the Taiwan, and China, which America backs to Taiwan, right? It's the same thing. America has been basically reassuring Taiwan that, hey, we're going to have your back. And it's beautiful because, hey, those Taiwanians, man, they don't trust America. You know, I believe it's the same thing with the Ukrainians. They've been feeling the same way. They don't trust America because of how everyone watched, and that's another thing. Everyone's watching everything that's transpiring right now. Everyone's watching. You see, but going back to the whole Afghanistan situation when America pulled out, all right. Ever since then, hey, pretty much, people were on edge when it comes to America. People were on edge. America basically been found out that they can't be trusted. Ever since America pulled out of Afghanistan, right, and they hit the sanctions on those, the Taliban's and whatnot. You see, like I said, I've been reporting on that situation, what's going on over there in Afghanistan, man. It's bad over there. It's rough. You see, the sanctions, man. They're crippling these societies or whatnot. Well, hey, the same thing is going to come over here to the shores of America. You see, again, going back to the whole situation with these sanctions. All right. And you even got Germany. I've reported on this before about how Germany, man, they're pretty much on edge because like I said, a lot of those resources come from Russia, and if Germany sides with the EU, NATO, and America, then hey, Russia's going to cut those supplies off, and it's going to be a hard surrender for Germany. Well, hey, because Germany, they were pretty much like backed into a corner for the most part, but now it's to the point where Germany, man, I saw something about how they're talking about. See if I can pull it up real quick, because you got that whole pipeline that was supposed to go from Germany to Russia, and they're talking about. I think they were talking about canceling it. See if I can look it up real quick. Because again, if, well, I'm not even going to say if, because again, it's just a matter of when. But when this world war breaks out, that will have a devastating effect on the economy, especially America's economy, more so. So that whole Nord Stream 2, which is that pipeline, they were talking about how Germany could use that as because like I said, everyone's talking about sanctions against Russia if they in fact invade the Ukraine. Well, now, like I said, you know, Russia has so-called invaded the Ukraine, so now all these nations, man, they're going to hit sanctions on Russia. All right, and I think Germany's way of sanctioning Russia is going to be by way of of stopping that pipeline from going to Russia. You know, and you see again, keep reiterating how Jake, for the most part, they don't care about none of this. In the eyes of Jake and a lot of these Americans, for the most part, man, they don't pay no mind to us because again, it's not affecting them directly. Well, again, one thing is going to lead to another. All right, and in some way, shape, form, or fashion, we're all going to be affected by this because, like I said, when this world war breaks out, all right, and I'm not saying it's going to start with Russia and Ukraine, and I'm not saying it's going to start there, but when it does break out, all right, and Russia does start supplying a lot of those goods to those resources to the Ukraine, excuse me, to Europe. All right, hey, that's going to affect America. All right, in a big way. You know, that's going to affect America in a very big way. You see, and this is what's going to lead to even higher spikes in food, gas. All right, hey, like I mentioned with Sri Lanka, man, they have to limit. You know, they have to cut down on. You know, they have to cut because basically, like I said, you know, they basically ran out of money. They can't afford nothing. Well, hey, that's going to come here. You know, soon. Hey, we got a small glimpse of that when this whole lockdowns took place back in 2020. You know, certain places were limiting. You had long queues, right? Long lines in the grocery stores, man. You know, I remember when they had it to where you could only get like two cases of water per family per household, right? You know, and even in gas stations, man. You know, so a lot of gas stations they were limited, right? This is when you had people, uh, um, you know, they had the. This is when you actually had jackasses filling up plastic bags of gas, all right, you know, and you know a lot of them ended up dying or whatnot. But even gas stations, man, they were some gas stations they didn't have any gas, man. They, you know, a lot of gas stations they ran out or they only had a limited. You know, you could only get a certain amount of gas here and there. Well, that's coming back on a major way. You see, that's coming back in a major way because they could only going back to what I mentioned earlier, how they just averted another government shutdown, right? They're only going to be able to fund the government but for so long. Eventually, you know, America's not going to be able to afford anything. You know, America's going to be broke. You see, because America already, as it is, man, it's a welfare. This is a welfare nation, man. You know, America's just one big welfare case, man. So it's just a matter of time, man. You know, matter of fact, let me go ahead and get into a few precepts, man. Matter of fact, let me get this first, because again, America's economy is on the verge of a complete collapse, right? A complete collapse. You know, again, a world war will definitely, you know, um, devastate this economy to the point of no return, which is something that the elites want because, you know, they got to bring in that Revelation 13, 16, and 17, that charagma, right? Which this is where, aside from Yahushua making his second return, all roads lead to that charagma, man. But I'm going to read this in Revelation 18. Matter of fact, before I get that, I will get this. Revelation 18, oh, I'm sorry, Jeremiah chapter 50. Was it 51? Just bear with me real quick. Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 16. Cut off the sower from Babylon, and him that handleth the sickle in the time of harvest. For fear of the person's sword, they shall turn everyone to his people, and they shall flee everyone to his own land. Because you see, there was a time where, you know, a lot of these nations, you know, they would come to Babylon. They would come to Babylon, all right, America, set up shop, make money, right? You know, and you know, get rich off America, so to say, make money off America. But those days are over. You see, there's no money to be made here anymore. This place is through. You see, so you know now we're to the point where hey, a lot of these nations, hey, they set up shop. Hey, they're packing up shop and they're going back home. There's no money to be made from here no more. You see, I'm gonna read that again. Jeremiah 15:16, cut off the sower from Babylon. All right, so there's no, pretty much no production, no fruit, so to say, to be made here in Babylon. It says, "And him that handleth the sickle in the time of harvest, for fear of the oppressing sword, they shall turn everyone to his people, and they shall flee everyone to his own land." So, like I said, hey, people are packing up shop and going back home, man. There's no money to be made here anymore. And just to show you how cold the Lord is, man, here it is. A lot of these nations, they see this place is done. They're going back home, right? But here it is. A lot of our people are trying to come to America. You see, for the most part, the nations have sense enough to see America's going down. But a lot of our people, and especially the northern tribes, a lot of those so-called Hispanic tribes, man, this is where you hear about this whole so-called border crisis that's going on. A lot of those illegal immigrants flooding into America and whatnot. You see, to show how blinded our people are. Here it is, our people, for the most part, man, they're trying to come over here, and whatever, man, for whatever reason, And a lot of them, I'm gonna just say this because a lot of them are coming over here just receiving a judgment. They don't even know it. A lot of them jakes, man, coming over here, they're just coming over here to get their judgment. They don't even know it. You see, but for the most part, the nations have enough sense to see that there's no future here for America. All right. You see, man, and you can see it, man. The spirit really has to be with you, man, because as obvious as these things are, as crystal clear as these things are to us, to those of us that believe the hopefully elect, these people, they don't see it. They, like I said, just because they're able to make those, still collect those greenbacks and go to the stores and clubs and bars and whatnot, they think that everything's all good. They think that everything is all good. You see, when, hey, go to the grocery stores, man, I know you see it. Hey, them shelves, man, they're getting emptier and emptier, And like I said, back in 2020, them whole lockdowns and whatnot, they were limiting supplies and whatnot. Well, hey, I know I've been seeing that more. I've been seeing that again, due to such and such, we're only, we only have a limited amount of supplies, blah, blah, blah. Due to such and such, we can only issue out a certain amount, blah, blah, blah. So you see, because, hey, as I said before, man, back in 2020, that's a small inkling of what we're going to see when it's when it gets for real out here, man. 2020 was a small inkling, You people thought 2020 was bad. You people thought 2021 was bad. Y'all just wait. Y'all just wait, man, because, hey, we're in the beginning stages, man. We're in the birth pains. You see, y'all ain't seen nothing yet, man. We ain't seen nothing yet, But I'm going to go back to Revelation 18. I'm going to read Revelation 18, I'm going to start at verse 15. Revelation 18 and 15. The merchants of these things, which were made rich by her, shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, because, ultimately when America gets hit with all those missiles, like I mentioned, all America's allies are going to turn on America. You can read about that in Revelation, the 17th chapter. All right, NATO, the EU. All right, because you see, the thing about it, like I said this in another video, man, about how America's, man, they're stirring up a lot of shit, man. They're over exaggerating things. You even got the president in the Ukraine, and you even got certain members in the EU and whatnot. They're like, yo, chill. Y'all blowing shit out of proportion. Y'all making it a bigger thing than what it is. Because America, man, they're just with their propaganda, man, they're just pushing these narratives, and everyone's just like, chill, man. Because, a lot of these people, they don't want to go to war. A lot of these nations, they don't want to go to war. But nevertheless, this is all the will of Yahweh Shema Shai, and he's going to stir their minds up regardless, and he's going to make them go to war regardless. And this is why we ought to be excited, man. Because, hey, the hopefully elect, we know and understand and believe that this is going to usher in our deliverance. So we want these things to happen. Everyone, for the most part, because I put it like this, right now we're in the house of mourning while everyone else is in the house of feasting, all right? Well, hey, we're in that paradigm shift, you see? Because, when the brothers, when we meet up, man, and we ask each other, how our week has been, you know, it's to the point where, listen, I don't care about none of that. Because we suffer, we catch our afflictions or whatever, we go through our hell, but it's to the point where these prophecies, man, it's like it oversees all that. No matter what I went through in the week, man, the hell with all that. Prophecy is speaking, things is going. It's the Lord is speaking, man. He's getting ready to deliver His elect. You see, because it's like I said, it's just so much going on, man. The Lord is moving. The Spirit of the Lord is moving. Prophecy is speaking. You see. So, like I was saying, hey, you got EU and certain allies of America. They're like, chill, man. Y'all just chill out. You see, because even Putin, man, he called out the West, the Western media, and their hysteria. Because, like I said, America's just blowing, they just blowing shit out of proportion, man. Russia can invade any day now. They expect invasion any day now. And Russia already basically showed that, listen, man, if we wanted to invade Ukraine, we would have did it already. Russia they've been flexing, right? They've been showing off their might, right? They wanted to invade, they would have been did it. So like I said, because for the most part, this whole thing with the World War III, man, I'm not saying it's going to start with Russia and the Ukraine, but hey, ultimately the Lord is moving the chess pieces. All right. The Lord is moving the chess pieces. He's building that pressure in the pipes, because when it's war does kick off, hey, everything's going to be set in its place. All right. But like I was saying, in Revelation the 17th chapter, you can see, you can talk. It goes into how, hey, all of America's allies, man, they're going to turn their back on America and shoot their missiles. So going back to this in Revelation 18:15, the merchants of these things, which were made rich by her, because America is a consumer nation, so a lot of these nations, they made their money off America, right? It says, shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment. And what's that torment? Again, going into those missiles, because see, when you read on, it says weeping and wailing. Why? Because hey, they won't be able to make money off America anymore once this place goes up in flames. It says, and saying, alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. So, like I said, America was once the place where you could come, and the so-called American dream, right? Well, hey, turned out to be a living nightmare. All right, and again, people see that this placement is going down. There's no money to be made anymore. America's through. It says, verse 8:17. It says, for in 1 hour so great riches come to naught. And every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors and as many as trade by sea stood afar off. Right? So the point that I wanted to get in verse 17, it says, for in 1 hour so great riches come to naught. All right? Because, again, ultimately, America, once the space gets destroyed, it's only going to take an empire that took hundreds of years to build. In 1 hour, the Lord's going to bring it down to nothing. All right? But the point I wanted to get was, it said, great riches come to naught. You see, and again, going back to the whole point, what are you going to do when, the society completely collapses? All right? Because again, it's going to be all bad. All hell is going to break loose before it gets to this point where America is completely destroyed. All right? The dollar is already going to be worth nothing. All right? You see, that's what, like I said, reporting on these things, all these things one thing is going to lead to another. All right? Once this war breaks out, all right, like I said, hey, it's going to be history from there, man. All these sanctions, you see, man, all these things is going to lead to, one thing is going to lead to another, man. And that's, that's the perspective we ought to have, because again, hey, you think that money's going to save you in that day. Well, hey, but you got Jake, man, selling themselves out. Jake selling themselves out for their job, right? Selling themselves out for money that's not real money. I'm going to read this in Proverbs 11:4. Riches profit not in the day of wrath, but righteousness deliver from death. Because In the second Ezra, I think that's the ninth chapter, talks about how, the roughly paraphrasing how the works that we've committed through faith, all right, that's what's going to save us, all right, not riches, all right, you know, not that again those greenbacks, that's not real money, man. All right, real money in the eyes of Yahweh Shema Shai is gold and silver, and I would encourage you Akim and you Akwath, all right, you brothers and sisters, man, and I'm speaking to myself, man, get into gold and silver, man. All right, get into commodities, precious commodities, something that you're gonna be able to bargain with in that day, because again, when the time comes when this economy collapses, again, money's not gonna mean anything. Matter of fact, I'm gonna read this one more time. Proverbs 11:4. Riches profit not in the day of wrath. You see, because hey, it even tells you in what is that? I think that's Isaiah 14. Might be 13, but let me check this real quick. Nope, yeah, that's 13. Because I think that's 13. Because hey, well, them Russians, hey, the Lord is gonna put an evil spirit on them Russians, and they're not gonna give a shit, man. You think your money's going to be able to save you when once America, and that's another thing, all right? America, once this place starts getting invaded, because America will start getting invaded, all right? America's going to start getting touched, all right? America's going to start getting invaded, all right? A lot of those things that you see going on in the third world countries, where a lot of those people, they live in, war, or they live in basically a war zone. Like I said, America, man, this is things that they're not used to seeing, versus a lot of those third world countries, hey, you got men, women, and children, man. They're basically always living on edge, man, because, hey, bombs going off every night, you're trying to sleep, bombs going off, you don't know where you're going to get your food from, right? It's just, always on edge. Well, that's coming to America. That's what these people fail to understand. That's what they fail to realize, because they're still plugged into the matrix. They think that everything's all good. Well, soon America's going to be war readiness, man. This is going to be, scripts talk about how this place is going to become just a desolate wasteland, man. Bombs going off, tanks up and down the streets, shootouts, all type of stuff. Like I said, when them troops, not just some Russian troops, but them troops, man, when them foreign troops start invading America, you think that your money, your worthless money, is going to save you in that day? Let's get this. Isaiah chapter 13. Isaiah 13:17, it says, Behold, I will stir up the Medes, talking about those Russians. I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. So you see, you think, when they come over here, all right, all the foreign troops, you think when they come over here, that they're just gonna, you're gonna be able to, plead with, no, man, they're not gonna give a shit about none of that, because again, the money, so-called money, is not gonna be worth anything. You see? It's already worth nothing now, but again, people are still plugged into the matrix. They think that, just because you're still able to make purchases with it, But little do these people know, man. That when that money collapses, man, when that dollar collapses, man, we get this in Ezekiel chapter 7. And this scripture reminds me of the Weimar Republic. And if you don't know about the Weimar Republic, just look it up on Google, man. You have people going to the stores, man, with wheelbarrows of money, or real wheelbarrows of money, just to buy a local bread, because that's how the value of the dollar was during that time. That's coming back to America, and you got a glimpse of that in Venezuela. I often refer to America as Venezuela 2.0. Just pay attention to Venezuela, over the past years or whatnot. All right, people just threw their money out, man. You just seen the dollars in the streets because it was so worthless. That's coming to America. So I'm gonna read Ezekiel chapter 7. I'm gonna start at verse 15. Because, hey, matter of fact, damn, this whole chapter is good, man, for the most part. I'm starting at verse 15. The sword is without, and the pestilence and the famine within. He that is in the field shall die with the sword, and he that is in the city, right? Because, hey, if you're not of the elect, no matter where you go, hey, the Lord has it out for you. You ain't gonna make it. Whether you're in the city, whether you're in the field, trying to hide out in the wilderness, no matter where you go, man. If you're not of the elect, the Lord's gonna kill you. It says, in that is in the city, famine and pestilence shall devour him. And that's another thing I wanted to speak on the Wadi Al-Bashim al-Shai. Hey, this subvariant, again, here it is. They're easing up on the restrictions, the mask mandates, and so on and so forth. When now, which, if I'm not mistaken, and they're not even talking about this on the mainstream media, there's a subvariant. You know, there's a subvariant that's, you know, secretly popping up, man. You see? So, hey, peace and safety. You know, people thinking themselves to be in good case. Everything's opening back up. Restrictions, you know, blah, blah, blah. Well, hey, you know. But it says, famine and pestilence shall devour him. So you see, like I said, the stage is already being set for famines, man. All right, a lot of these stores, like I said before, the shelves are running more and more empty. All right. And again, you can expect an increase, even more increase in foods and goods, right? You see, man, because again, they don't understand. War breaks out, man. All right. You see, that's going to cause a lot of that's going to cause even, because again, oil and what was it? Oil and gas, man. That's because it's not just food, and you know, it's not just food. You know, you can expect an increase in utilities. Don't be surprised when your electric bill's going up, your water bill's going up. All these things are going to be affected, man. You know, everything, you know, pertaining to what we use in our lives, man. All right, food, gas, water, all these things are going to start going up. You know, they've been talking about how, hey, buying houses and, you know, even getting used cars, man. You know, the price of used cars is going up. Everything's going to go up, man. So this is what you can expect. And that's why it's important to pay attention to these things, you know, pertaining to Russia, China, and all these, you know, all these things, man. You see? Because, hey, man, the time's going to come where, hey, man, you know, people, hey, these people, they're going to lose their shit. They're going to lose it. But it says, but they that escape of them shall escape and shall be on the mountains like doves of the valleys, all of them mourning, everyone for his iniquity. All hands shall be feeble, and all knees shall be weak as water. Because you people, hey, when the Lord hits these places with all these plagues at once, you people are not going to know what hit you. You know, it's going to hit you like a shit ton of bricks, man. You people aren't going to know what to do, where to go to. You see, this is why, hey, Isaiah 24th chapter goes into how there's going to be a crying for wine in the streets, man. People are going to be looking for answers. What the hell is going on? It was just all good yesterday. It was all good just a week ago, right? You know? But it says, they also shall gird themselves with sackcloth, and horror shall cover them. And shame shall be upon all faces, and baldness upon their heads. So you people are going to be in a very bad state of just mourning, lamentation. You know? And hey, because when that reality hits, hey, I did the video you know, a few days ago going into how, hey, it is what it is, man. You know, hey, we told you these things were going to happen. When it happens, what do you want us to do? You know? Hey, it is what it is. This is what's necessary, man. Yahweh Shema Shah said these things are going to happen. There's nothing that any of us can do to stop it. You know? It is what it is, man. But the point here in verse 19 says, they shall cast their silver in the streets, and their gold shall be removed. Their silver and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of the Lord. Because another thing, you think that the Lord cares about this so-called money? Like I said, it's one thing when America starts getting invaded and shit, right? These foreign troops, when they come over here, you think you're going to be able to bargain with them with them greenbacks? Hell no. How much more the Heavenly Father? You think that's going to save you in the day of His wrath? Hell no, man. It says, they shall not satisfy their souls, neither fill their bowels, because it is the stumbling block of their iniquity. You see, man? But it said, they shall cast their silver in the streets, and their gold shall be removed. And like I said, it reminds me of the Weimar Republic Venezuela, all right, when they were just, the money was so worthless, it's just, they were just had it in the streets, man. I always make this statement about how the only thing that them greenbacks is going to be good for two things: wiping your ass and burning it for fire, burning it in fire, using it as fuel fire. That's what, that's going to be the only two things for the most part that they're going to be useful, useful for. You know, you see, man. So what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do when, hey, all hell breaks loose? All right. Like I said, one thing's gonna lead to another. America's on the verge of this collapse, man. America's economy is going to collapse. This place is already done. It's circling the drain. It's just a matter of time. Matter of fact, I'm gonna get one more because America economy is so fragile as it is. America's economy is so fragile as it is, man. It's just one not so major event away from just all just complete destruction, man. Just complete collapse. Just all hell break loose. That's how close this place is. So fragile, man. I'm gonna read this in Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 5. Also, when they shall be afraid of that which is nigh, and fear shall be in the way, and the almond tree shall flourish, and the grasshopper shall be a burden. You see, a grasshopper being a burden. Matter of fact, I can read it on. It says, and desire shall fail, because man goeth to his long home, and the mourner shall go about the streets. All right, but the point being that a grasshopper shall be a burden. Now, when you read, from this chapter, it goes into again the economy collapsing. All right, when you start in when you read from verse 1 on down, it talks about the economy, jobs, businesses closing, so on and so forth. All right, because again, this is where we're at. All right, to where a grasshopper shall be a burden. Now, something so significant as a grasshopper is a very significant, or excuse me, it's a very insignificant thing. You look at something like a grasshopper, that can cause no harm, right? But it says a grasshopper shall be a burden. So something so small, something so insignificant being a burden, showing you how fragile America's economy is. Because like I said, it's just one not so major event away. Anything could just happen to where it's just lights out, and it's just bam, Jacob's trouble. Anything can happen to where this place just goes up a flame. Everyone's already on edge. You can feel the tension in the air. So that's how fragile America's economy is, man. And that's how close we are to this thing, man. So hey, man, we're almost about it here, man. It's just, hey, we got to sit back and hey, the Lord's word. Hey, we just have to sit back and wait and let the Lord's word play out, man, because we're almost out of here, man. That's why I say, hey, we see these things. Hopefully, we see these things. Despite what we go through in our daily lives, our afflictions and whatnot, the hell with all that, man. And I'm speaking to myself when I say that, the hell with all that, because hey, we almost out of here. And the beautiful thing about it is, this is the last time we got to go through this. This is the last captivity we got to go through. This is the last time we got to go through this. So let's just suck this shit up, man. Deal with it, and Lord's will, and do it until the end. Do the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shai. So with that, I'm gonna close out, giving all praises to Yahweh Shema Shai. Double honors to the apostles and others with great millstone. Yahweh Shema Shai, brought a thumb to the hopefully elect. Lord's will. This was edifying. Lord's will, until next time, shalom.